Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons & Dragons. Today on the Dr. Spell Prognosis, we're going to talk about the spell Dispel Magic. We're giving this spell an A-, but first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or a comment. All right, so we're giving this an A-. I'm not giving it the A or A+ that I gave Counterspell. Although this is an awesome spell, it is not one that you can use as a reaction to stop something from happening. It is a spell that you use as an action to stop an ongoing effect that has already happened. So that's the big difference between this and Counterspell. They're both the same level, but if you can't catch it with Counterspell, then you can catch it on the back end with Dispel Magic. So I would prefer to use Counterspell first, and then after that, use Dispel Magic. You know, there are other things that, you know, you can use this on as well. If you find like a Glyph of Warding or magical traps that have spells on them that you identify, then this is definitely a spell that can be used. Now, it has limits and it has rules of engagement. Left and right barriers, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about the dynamics of the ability check. We're going to talk about its use with Abjuration wizards, because it is an Abjuration spell. So whenever you look at these wizard spells, you always want to look at the school, and you want to look and see how it interacts with the school specialty of the wizard. And then lastly, we're going to look at some things that you can enhance the Abjuration wizard with, in as far as taking other classes, particularly the artillerist, Artificer. So let's get into it. So it's a third level spell, takes an action, has a range of 120 feet, so it's very far. If you need to dispel that spell that's powering a trap or is part of a trap, like a Glyph of Warding or like a Symbol is a nasty spell, then you can be pretty far away and get rid of it. Verbal Somatic, it's an Abjuration. So you choose one creature, object, or magical effect within range. Now, how do you know if there's a magical effect? Well, you need to be using Dispel Magic. This is one of the things I always tell players all the time. Always walk around with a Dispel Magic spell. Don't ever walk around without one going. If somebody in your party has Detect Magic. If somebody in your party has Detect Magic, they need to be using Detect Magic all the time. Now, Pathfinder 2nd Edition has a really good rule mechanic in it that D&D 5th Edition does not have that I like. And I'm going to talk about this just a little bit. And they have these exploration modes that players can be in. And and they have different activities that you can do in those exploration modes. One of those activities is detecting magic all the time. So you just tell the DM, exploration mode, detect magic. That's what I'm doing. In D&D 5th Edition, you kind of have to, you know, I would write it on a card and then put it out that way so that your DM knows that you're always walking around and you're always detecting magic. Because Detect Magic is a cantrip that can be cast as a ritual. So you might as well put it out there and get it done and just cast it over and over and over and over again. So that's how you know there's magic around. It'll tell you the magic, it'll tell you the school, but it doesn't necessarily tell you anything else beyond that, other than, you know, maybe going into it with your DM about an Arcana check. So once you've detected that magic and you've detected there's a magical effect, or you've got an enemy that's cast a spell that you want to get rid of, like Spike Growth, which sucks, or an Incendiary Cloud, or a Cloud Kill, or a Black Tentacles, you know, any of those spells that last for a while kind of suck. Invisibility, you need to target this, so that's kind of hard to do. So you have to know that it's there for it to happen. So, but any of those other ones are all fair game. So once you know it's there, you cast this spell. You choose one creature, object, or magical effect within range. Any spell of 3rd level or lower on the target, that's where it has that word target, ends immediately. For each spell of 4th level or higher on the target, make an ability check. So let's talk about ability checks. using your spellcasting ability. So for a wizard, it's going to be intelligence. For a bard, it's going to be charisma. For clerics and druids, it'll be wisdom. So, by the way, let's talk about who can, real quick, let's talk about who can use this spell. So it's available for bards, clerics, druids, paladins, sorcerers, warlocks, wizards, artificers. Trickery Domain clerics get it for free. Arcane Domain clerics get it for free. And Oath of Devotion paladins get it for free. And when I say for free, that they don't have to choose it. It comes with their spell choices. So it's usable by just about everything, generically. So that's a great thing. Again, so let's look at this ability check using your spellcasting ability, which is different for any one of these classes. So an ability check tests a character's or monster's innate talent and training in an effort to overcome a challenge. To make an ability check, roll a d20 and add the relevant ability modifier. Period. That's it. This is not a skill check, so you do not get to add your proficiency bonus. So this is another reason why, if you have a bard, cleric, druid, paladin, sorcerer, paladins are not so much, because paladins do have to have other scores that are higher. But if you are a bard, cleric, druid, sorcerer, warlock, or wizard, you should have the highest score that you can possibly have in your spell casting ability. For wizards, that is going to be intelligence. So at 5th level, you should have as close to, if not have an 18 in intelligence as possible, which would give you a +4. So it's a d10 plus 4, which means if you go against a 4th level spell, you need to roll a 10 or higher, giving you a 55% success rate. 1 through 9 is a 45% failure rate. If you are using this against a 5th level spell, it's a 50% pass rate, 50% fail rate. So you need to keep those statistics in mind for when you decide to upcast this, because if you cast this at a higher level, then you automatically end the effect of the spell on the target if it's equal to or less. So if you cast this at 4th level, you immediately get rid of all 4th level spells. 5th level, immediately get rid of all 5th level spells, so on and so forth. So if you make the check, or if the spell is equal to or less than the spell that you use to cast Dispel Magic, it's gone. So that's where we get into this getting rid of existing stuff. Now, let's talk about the Abjuration Wizard, because this is actually one of my favorite wizards. It's a tanky wizard, but it can use its abilities on other creatures as well. So, starting at 2nd level, you can surround yourself with protection. When you cast an Abjuration spell of 1st level or higher, Dispel Magic is a 3rd level Abjuration spell, you pull in some of the magic, which lasts until you finish a long rest. You get hit point maximum. The ward has its own hit points. It's not temporary hit points, it's hit points. The ward has temporary hit points equal to twice your wizard level plus your intelligence modifier. So, if you're casting Dispel Magic, the minimum level you need to cast Dispel Magic as a wizard is 5th level. So you are going to should get 14 hit points on your ward. From then on, whenever you cast an Abjuration spell of 1st level higher, you regain a number of hit points equal to twice the level of the spell. So that means if you cast Dispel Magic after you have the ward up, then you are going to essentially regain. So it has to be lower. Essentially, it's healing it. So if you cast Dispel Magic, it's going to regain 6 of those points. At 6th level, you can put this on somebody else as your reaction from 30 feet away. And at 10th level, when you cast an Abjuration spell that requires you to make an ability check, which is Counterspell and Dispel Magic, you add your proficiency bonus to that ability check, which means at 10th level, you should probably have somewhere in the ballpark of around a 19 or 20 in your spell casting for a wizard. That's intelligence, which means that you will be getting a +8 to your check to dispel. So really, at that point, upcasting Dispel Magic to get rid of a 4th or a 5th level spell, probably you don't need to do that. You just need to cast it as a 3rd level, and then So if you cast it as a 3rd level after a 4th level spell and you've got a +8 to your check, that means you need to get a 6 or higher. Meaning you've got a 25% chance of failure or a 75% chance of success. And then for a 5th level spell, it's 70% chance of success. So that's still anything over, I would say 65% is still very, very good. You're betting the system to successfully do that. Now, last thing I want to add on to this is because the Abjuration Wizard's ward is hit points and not temporary hit points, if you had several levels, you need 3 levels in Artillerist Artificer, you can get the Protector Cannon, which goes off of your intelligence score, which at this point should be around 4. You can add 12 temporary hit points to yourself because you can have this thing cast this over and over and over again until you get the max. So in addition to having 14 hit points in your ward, you're going to have another 12. So that's 26 extra hit points. That's pretty beefy. So there is all that. All right. So that's what I got for everybody today. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I will catch